Hello and good evening and a very warm welcome in today's special program called Cricit Predicta on NewsX, powered by 1xBet. Well, in yesterday's fixture, Mumbai Indians faced their third consecutive defeat, succumbing to a 6-wicket loss against Rajasthan Royals at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. Managed to put up 125 runs on the scorecard with Trent Bolt and Chahal each claiming 3 wickets. Despite Tilak Verma's 32 and Hardik Pandya's 34, Mumbai fell short. Rajasthan's Ryan Parag led the charge with an unbeaten 54 as they chased down the target in 15.3 overs. Akash Madhwal starred with the ball, taking 3 wickets for Mumbai. Moving on to today's marquee clash. RCB, yes, Sadanand Vishwanath's RCB take on Lucknow Super Giants at the Chinnaswamy Stadium, Bengaluru. They have won 1 out of their 3 matches this season, while Lucknow has a similar record, having won and lost 1 game each in their IPL history. Well, Bangalore has dominated with 3 wins out of 4 encounters against Lucknow, indicating their superiority with 90 IPL matches hosted at the M. Chinnaswamy Stadium. Teams batting second have had an edge, winning 49 matches compared to 37 by team batting first. Given the obsession of chasing at the venue, the toss-winning team might opt to bowl, yes, first, and the average for the first innings score stadium stands at 172. That is the first part of our program, but more importantly, we celebrate the 13 years of India's World Cup win. Well, that's going to be in the last half of the program, and I would like to ask all our panelists, 3 of them, one, Sadanand Vishwanath, the ace wicketkeeper, the flamboyant wicketkeeper ahead of his time, and the man partly responsible, as Sunil Gavaskar says, to win India the 1985 Champions of Champions trophy. We also have Paul Dinette, the Aussie, who joins us with his very scathing remarks about the English players. And guess what? You have a man with the sword, the man who's been a part of the media, sports, and of course, David Brooks, who's watched the cricket and introduced cricket, took the cricket outside the BBC world, who joins us straight from London, and his house overlooks the Kia Oval. Well, welcome, gentlemen. Last part of the program, we're going to celebrate India's win at the World Cup and just a reminiscence of what you guys were doing on that particular night. Well, before that, I'd like to take a step back and talk about yesterday's match. Who was, I'm going to ask my panelists, who was going in for Mumbai out of the 3? Who was rooting for Mumbai? Paul, David, Sadanand, who's going to go take the first shot? It wasn't John. It wasn't Paul. It would have been Sadanand. Sadanand, open the innings for us. What went wrong with Mumbai last night?
You need to be united. Good evening. Good evening, Sunil. Good evening to my friends, eminent friends in the panelists, and very good evening to all the viewers. Well, to stay united, you win. And you fight amongst each other, you're bound to lose. So every team has to have a knit unit. The unit has to be compact, they have to respect the leader, and they have to allow the leader to lead the team, which unfortunately is not happening in Mumbai right now. So that really is the issue. And I'm very sad that the senior players just left Hardik Pandya alone in the dressing room after the match. He almost broke down in tears. It must be terrible to be Hardik Pandya these days. I really hope he gets his act together, wins back the love of the Mumbai crowd, and somehow he has made a pledge that he will try to see that even though they have lost their first 3 matches, he is going to try and emerge triumphant in the IPL. But that's a long way away. So that's my feedback to you about yesterday's match.
Well, just a little slight deviation. David Brooks had the similar emotions when Virat Kohli was unceremoniously, he decided to step out and he says it wasn't the time for Kohli to go back. Do you think the tide has turned back, or do you think it's et to Brutus? David Brooks.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I did think that Kohli was edged out far too early. You have to go, that was then, this is now, you have to go with Pandya. We're waiting for the real show of unity that Sadnan was saying. It feels like a divided camp. So, yeah, the senior players need to get behind their new captain, and the onus is on Rohit Sharma to lead that way and show that they are a united front, because they've got a lot of work to do now to get back into it. I mean, all credit to the bowlers that we saw yesterday, namely Trent Boult and your favourite, Sunil, Mr. Chahal. I mean, they did bowl superbly. And I think any team would have struggled with Trent Boult's opening spell. Two bowlers who have the ability to really get the critical edge for a team. So I think that Chahal and Boult deserve credit, and give credit to the bowlers. And to see a home side booing a home captain, is always disappointing. What has he done to deserve that? And I think the crowd need to look at themselves and say they're part of creating an MI revival. They have to play their part. It's almost like football, soccer, where you see the crowd turning on a captain or turning on a particular player. Do we want to see that in cricket? So the home crowd should be behind their players.
Very interesting. Gary Lineker not long ago called fans as tribal community. Not sure what they've done to deserve that, but at the same time, Paul Dinette, walk into the show with your opinion about yesterday's match. And before we're going to take daggers at David Brooks' team, the Bengaluru, the RCB, who hasn't done very good or very impressive in the last 3 outings. But for yesterday's match, Paul Dinette, walk into the discussion, please.
Well, I think for a start, it was kind of nice to see the bowlers having a bit of a chance. I love 200 plays 200 as much as the next person, but to see 3 golden ducks to begin the game was quite something. And I agree with my 2 colleagues here. I'm sad for Hardik Pandya. He's a wonderful player. He doesn't deserve that, and I'm really cheering him on for the rest of the tournament as well. It would be a wonderful story if he could lift Mumbai from here on in and win back the affection of the crowd. It wouldn't take much either, I don't think. A couple of wins, a couple of big sixes, and he'll start to be beloved by them again, because crowds can be pretty fickle.
Well, absolutely. Crowds can be fickle.
David,
yes, Sadaran.
In 2015, Mumbai had lost 3 or 4 matches initially. They lost all their opening games, at least 4 of them. But they went on to win the trophy that year. So it's very unpredictable, and they can do wonders.
Very interesting point. Well, this is the show where we not only talk about the statistics, but we also talk about contextuality of the game in today's context and look back at the past, what has happened. And that's why Sadanand Vishwanath, who's been a part of BCCI as the part of the elite panel's umpire and one of the administrators, is back here with us giving those small nuggets. But again, Sadaran, what do you think of RCB's game today? They seem to be scoring a good scorecard in the last 3 games, but haven't managed to hold on to the elusive victory. Virat Kohli, although personally he's holding the orange cap, he's in a sensational form, but that's where it ends. Your views?
Very true, Sanjay. Well, we'll have to look at our bowling. We haven't covered our bowling base. And we'll have to expect, I think, Alzadi Joseph may make way for a new bowler. Cameron Green has to clearly step up and deliver that upward bounce that he generates from the pitch. And yes, Virat Kohli has scored 182 runs in the last 3 matches, whereas Glenn Maxwell, Cameron Green, Rajat Patidar, and the other top order batter have just managed to get 152 runs. Of course, Dinesh Karthik has been playing his cameos at the finish. But you're very right, Sanjay. We have to have an all-round performance, whether we bat first or whether we bowl first. We have to be prepared. Like Andy Flower, the coach, who was also the LSC coach the previous year. Andy Flower is very confident that RCB are going to put up a much improved performance this particular evening and get to score at least more than 200. Because 180 and 190, those 20 extra runs make a huge difference. I, for one, firmly believe that the top order can come good today. I wish them all the very best so that we can all have an absorbing match to watch.
David Brooks, Does this team remind you of Brian Charles Lara of the 90s, where he would go on to score 170 runs and the overall total was 250 and the team went on to lose out on the match? Do you think Virat Kohli is the Lara of today's context? He holds the orange.
I think that's a great analogy. There's a dangerous over-reliance on him. You know, I'm first and foremost Kohli fan rather than, RCB fan. But I'm worried about the over-reliance on Kohli. You know, if he should go early, which I don't think he will. I think we'll see more runs from Kohli again today. But there needs to be greater contribution from the rest of the order. I mean, I'm worried about Faf du Plessis. One of these players who doesn't play any other cricket now, just doing the T20, not playing any other formats. I worry about those guys. They take a while to get in, don't they? Because they're not playing enough competitive cricket. So we're looking to Paul's dynamic duo, Cameron Green and Maxwell. It can't be easy going straight from the Aussie wickets onto these, and clearly Maxwell's taking a while to adjust. He could have got out any number of times probably in the last match. So they need to come good. Yeah, Patidar, will he play today? He seems to have had a string of failures behind him. I agree with what Sadnan is saying, that Alzari will probably make way today. I'd like to see Reece Topley given a game. I think that will give them more control with the ball. But LSG, dangerous side, and have got more people contributing. And I worry about the Lara factor with Kohli. He can't take it all on himself. He can't beat the team on his own. He needs some big hitters at the other end. Well,
that's an interesting part. Let's shift our focus to the Lucknow Super Giants and Paul Dennett, Nicholas Puran, Stoinis, Quinton de Kock, KL Rahul. What do you make of that power-packed presentation in LSG?
I'm starting to agree with David. I think LSG are a pretty dangerous side. Obviously, Puran is just playing amazingly well. But I think their bowling has really kind of crept up on me. And I think everyone is so excited at what we might be going to be seeing from Mayank Yadav again in his second game. To see a bowler with that level of speed. There's a point as he gathers that there's a slight reminiscence of Jofra Archer, and I think there's a bowler can bowl into the 150s is tremendously exciting. But I think that the rest of their lineup, that Mohsin Khan looks like he's coming back after that injury to his shoulder. They've got Siddharth, who's a youngster as well. I think Krunal Pandya is an underrated bowler. And the interesting thing is Justin Langer had such a successful stint at the Perth Scorchers. Did very well with Australia, but it ended acrimoniously in Australia. And I think it's kind of overshadowed, at least in my mind, of what a fantastic franchise coach Justin Langer was. I think he's a better franchise coach than a national coach. If a player doesn't get on with him at the franchise level, he can kind of move them on, whereas at the national level, you're sort of stuck with them. I think he's mellowing a bit as well. And so I'm starting to think that LSG could go quite deep in this year's tournament. I noticed that they're kind of expected to kind of come third last, but I think they're a better side than that.
Well, very interesting that Justin Langer is turning out to be a good franchise coach as compared to the national coach. Well, we've got a superstar lineup of coaches, but that's a different day altogether. Let's look at Royal Challengers Bengaluru star bowlers here. Mohammad Siraj, 8 wickets in the last 10 matches with an economy rate of 8.64 and a strike rate of 24. Vashak capped 6 wickets in the last 4 matches with a decent bowling strike rate of 15. Glenn Maxwell, yes, the number 2 most experienced bowler for RCB, is doing the ranks. And Cameron Green, he uses his height in trouble and the batters with some extra bounce and pace. Sadanan Vishwanath, when we look at the Bengaluru bowling right now, RCB, where do you think they stand as compared to the other teams, especially LSG? Your views?
Well, LSG do have the upper hand as far as the bowling unit is concerned.
Yes.
But I'm quite happy with Vaishak Vijay Kumar because he uses his intelligence very well. He's also making use of the 2 short pitch deliveries, the playing condition. And in the previous match, in spite of the other bowlers going hammer and tong, when Sunil Narayan and Phil Salt really rubbed salt into our wounds. They got 79 runs in 6 overs, but Vaishak Vijayakumar bowled 4 overs, took 1 wicket for only 23 runs. So I would like to see the other bowlers rally around him and lend him that support. And if we get a couple of wickets with the new ball, if we penetrate and get a few early wickets in the first 6 overs, or initially in the first 10 or 12 overs, and get the game into our control, then I think RCB have a wonderful chance to go on and emerge triumphant. Yes.
Sadaran, when you see a bowler who's bowling at an economy of around 6 in today's T20 context, and especially at a crunch situation, what do you make up of that particular moment when he comes in, rolls in his arm, especially an uncapped, a very absolutely anonymous bowler comes in and rolls his arm and just completely dazzles and bamboozles the opposition? Your views, what do you make up of that bowler from an umpiring standpoint?
Oh, I would be flabbergasted. I would be just totally ecstatic to see such kind of stats. To see an economy rate of just 6 runs is unbelievable.
Yes.
And if we do come across some bowler like this, I think he should make his way right into the Indian team straight away.
Right, right. You know, yesterday we did discuss about Mayank Yadav and the previous evening about how brilliant that bowler was, but you've got to wrap them and put them in cotton wool before you put them on to the big stage. Also, moving on to our impact players right now, we have Dinesh Karthik right now for RCB and Vijay Kumar for bowling. Your views before we get on to the World Cup memories today. David Brooks, the impact players for Bengaluru and LSG, Padikkal and Naveen ul Haq for Lucknow, and Royal Challengers has Dinesh Karthik and Vijay Kumar Vaishya. Your views?
Well, yeah, I agree with you about Vishak. He's been impressive. And, Karthik has done everything asked of him. You know, he's when I said it's a one-man team, I didn't want to neglect Karthik's contribution with the bat, because he's looked great when he's come in. Maybe put him up the order a bit and shuffle things around because I think there needs to be someone else contributing up the order. As far as LSG concerned, one bowler we haven't mentioned, the Afghan guy Naveen, he's looked good too. So I agree with what Paul was saying about the all-round strength of LSG's bowling, which is going to put things under RCB under some pressure today. I wonder if they'll go with Reece Topley. Lockie Ferguson might be a choice that they go with. I hope they don't go with him because he's a bit too erratic for my taste, but Reece Topley would be a good pick today.
Well, just stay there, David. We're going to ask you about the World Cup victory. 2011 marked India's second World Cup victory. Again, India played against Kumara Sangakkara's Sri Lanka, and after 28 years, India had the opportunity to lift the trophy from Wankhede. My very simple fan question is, what were you doing on that particular day? Where did you watch the match, if at all? And did you celebrate? David Brooks.
Well, I did celebrate because we know that when India win a competition, that has an amazing multiplier effect. And that was a great day for Indian cricket. Because I remember the previous win as well, probably the only person on the panel who can remember the previous win in 1983.
Of course.
Against India. Against West Indies. Yeah, against all the odds. 83 or 84? Could have been
83,
84.
yes.
83, I was right the first time. Yeah, so,
Amazing.
2 great occasions. And in terms of, I was watching on the TV that in 2011 and delighted for India.
Well, absolutely. Sadaran Vishwanath, your views, your memories of that particular day and also of 1983. I'm sure you must be watching it with your close pals on the black and white television in 83 and just picking your kit bags and getting ready for your 84 successive year. Tell me, just share your memories with the fans, Sadaran.
Yeah. Actually, in 83, the color televisions had emerged because Mrs. Gandhi had brought in the color televisions for the Asian Games. So I didn't get to watch the 83 fantastic victory when Kapil Dev led our boys to a glorious triumph, which transformed the entire country and brought cricket to 1 million of homes all over the world and made every Indian globally very, very proud. In '87, we lost to England in the semi-finals at Bombay.
Yes.
And then later on in '91 and the subsequent years, when we played in Australia, we never qualified when we played in West Indies. And there was one chap I was feeling very sorry for, one cricketer who my heart was always reaching out for, and that was Sachin Tendulkar. And I was just praying that I hope that in 2011, that the team will lift Sachin Tendulkar on their shoulders and do a lap of honor right round the Wankhede Stadium. And that's exactly what happened. When MS Dhoni hit that Sri Lankan fast bowler for 6 and made India emerge triumphant after 28 years. I was watching this match with my friend who was my cricket student, Rajveer Wadhwa, with his mom and dad, Kalpana and Rajat. And it was a great feeling because I was getting to watch it on a giant screen for the first time. And yeah, it was truly ecstatic and a dream come true. And I can always cherish that memory.
Absolutely. Paul Dinette, 30 seconds. What were you doing on that fantastic evening that India celebrated like there was no weekend? I mean, the weekend was going to continue till the next week as well. Your views, your honest assessment and your feelings and walk down the memory lane.
Dhoni! I was cheering on Sri Lanka, I've got to admit it. But that's as a compliment to India because I knew that India's power was rising. And I thought, I want Australia to be ahead in World Cup wins for as long as possible, and India are the big threats. I was sad because India beat us in the quarterfinal. Ricky Ponting scoring a brave 100 to be. India in '83 when they won the World Cup, not only did it change the nation of India, it changed world cricket because India then got really serious about one-day cricket and it changed it forevermore. I agree with Sadnan that it was great for Tendulkar to win it and it was great for India, I've got to admit, even though I was a bit disappointed that the Aussies didn't make the final.
Well, absolutely, Aussies did make. And you must remember, Ravichandran Ashwin, who was playing then and who's still playing now, made his debut against the Aussies. And he did take Watson at that particular moment. And then the floodgates opened. Well, celebrating on India's 2011 victory, any player you think was special other than Sachin Tendulkar on that particular thing? Paul Dinette, we are running short of time. Just one player who you remember and will be in your memory book throughout the world, throughout your life. One moment or one player.
But it's what you mentioned as well. Ashwin, he started tormenting us and he's been tormenting Australia for 13 years since. I think he is, along with Jadeja, two of the most phenomenal cricketers I've ever seen. And I just wish he was an Australian.
Absolutely. Wish Ravichandran Ashwin was an Australian. He did torment the Aussies then. He's still toying around with the Aussies now when he plays, and we see nodding Paul Dinette there. Well, that's all we had time for.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.